Friends, how weird is it that the last hit this particular celebrity made talked about saying goodbye to a loved one before boarding a jet plane? And then shortly after, he died in a plane crash. When things like this happen, it just gives us the creeps because, well, that's just way too much of a coincidence to actually be a coincidence. Today we're going to be talking about musicians who predicted their own deaths, whether on purpose or not, and they predicted when and how they were going to die. Eerie, right? Before we dive in and discuss, go ahead and click subscribe and ring that notification bell so that you'll never miss out on our future videos. And give this video a thumbs up if your favorite musician who passed on somehow predicted his or her death in advance. Here we go! There are still rumors today about the death of Tupac, how he died, when he died, and whether he died at all. One of the greatest rappers of all time, he was young when it happened, and there are details surrounding him being shot that people still question today. Well, to add on top of the weirdness, Tupac actually did predict his death a few times. Lyrics in Thug Life suggested not making it to an old age, and in an interview with BET, he said in 15 years, he saw himself either in a cemetery or cremated. Jeez, that's pretty dark for someone at the peak of their career to say. It's also said that he had strong feelings at a young age that he wouldn't make it to live a long life. Well, in 1995, in an interview with Vibe magazine, Tupac literally said that this would be his last interview and wanted his story told truthfully before his death. In the music video following that for I Ain't Mad At Ya, he's communicating with loved ones and portraying the afterlife. And just a few weeks later, he was shot to death. Whew, that's some serious foreshadowing. Speaking of the greatest of all time, how can we not talk about John Lennon, a musician who was able to evoke emotions in a variety of songs from the simplest to the most complicated of human experiences? Well, John Lennon actually predicted how he would die, friends. Apparently, he was always telling the Beatles' secretary that he wouldn't even make it to 40, and 40 is the exact age he died. That's way too on point. Okay, now we know John Lennon was murdered in 1980 outside his residence, shot in the back 4 times by a man who posed as a fan just earlier that day, but then returned to take Lennon's life. Well, all the way back in 1965, Lennon told a reporter that he and his fellow Beatles members would probably either die in a plane crash or, get this, be shot by some loony. I mean, yes, when you're in the public sphere or the limelight, those are definitely ways in which other celebrities have died, so it wasn't that weird that he predicted maybe I might die this way, but still, it's very odd that he hit the nail on the head, talking about being shot by some loony. And that's exactly what ended up happening. Although we very much wish he was incorrect in his prediction and lived a long, healthy life, unfortunately, he was right in what he said. Friends, like we said, sometimes there's some foul play surrounding celebrities' deaths, and sometimes we never actually find out who is responsible. Well, in the weeks leading up to his death, Micheal Jackson was actually terribly fearful that someone was trying to kill him. And although it was deemed that he overdosed, there were definitely some unanswered questions. And all of Jackson's family members agreed that the King of Pop was actually murdered, not accidentally given the wrong dosage. Some pretty sinister stuff. Well, a few weeks before his death, according to The Guardian, he actually wrote a letter to one of his best friends, literally saying he was scared he was about to be murdered. Now, that's a really bold claim to make to your friend if it's totally baseless, but apparently he had been worried about this for a while. His ex-wife Lisa Marie Presley later told Oprah that the superstar had indeed talked about someone wanting to kill him and steal his assets. Friends, what do you think? Do you think MJ's death was indeed an accident and he was just being paranoid? Or do you think he predicted his own murder and it eventually came true? Definitely let us know in the comments. So, this next musician sang a song about getting on a jet plane and saying goodbye to a loved one. Yes, I'm about to answer the question I posed at the beginning. The song is Babe, I Hate to Go by John Denver. Well, folk trio Peter, Paul, and Mary re-recorded the song and actually renamed it Leaving on a Jet Plane, and it totally blew up as a hit. The lyrics in the song actually suggest that the singer doesn't know when he'll be back and he hates to leave. This was probably indirect since no one could have predicted that the singer would actually die in a plane crash. He was flying his own private plane in 1997 when the engine failed, causing him to plummet down into the California coastline. We lost a great musician, unfortunately, but pretty eerie that those lyrics were such a strong foreshadowing of his actual death. Friends, we'll let you decide whether this one is actually creepy or maybe a bit of a stretch. How many songs do you know of that talk about an elevator? Not many, right? Well, Prince actually has a set of lyrics about an elevator in his song Let's Go Crazy. Again, not a song you'd think would involve lyrics about an elevator. Well, the musical genius did indeed sing about it, and later on was actually found unresponsive and alone in an elevator after an overdose of fentanyl that caused his death. Now, an elevator is a pretty odd place for someone to be found, and on top of that, he had already overdosed at that point, so I'm sitting here wondering how he even got to the elevator or whether the overdose happened in the elevator? Regardless though, the fact that his song included lyrics about it and then later on that's where he was found, it's definitely a little weird to say the least. Friends, Amy Winehouse was a beautiful, soulful singer who often sang about topics that were tough to swallow, considered taboo in society, or just called attention to the flaws of human beings in general. Well, the singer died at 27 years old. Does that number sound familiar? Yes, you might be thinking about the 27 Club. It is famously known that many celebrities, particularly in music, have died at the age of 27, hence the 27 Club. Well, Amy Winehouse apparently had told her friends repeatedly that she would be joining the 27 Club. Although her lifestyles and habits didn't particularly support a healthy direction in life, she unfortunately did die at the age of 27 due to alcohol poisoning. It's definitely super weird though that she repeatedly said out loud that she'd be joining the 27 Club and ended up actually doing so. Well, not unlike Winehouse, rapper Mac Miller was prone to engage in drug-related habits. Although he was on again, off again, it was pretty unpredictable when the rapper would pick his habits back up again. Well, the sad part is that he initially got addicted to drugs because he felt personally attacked after his first album, and he was super young when that came out, and he felt like people were attacking him as a person rather than critiquing the music. And over time, his choice of drug just escalated to stronger and worse substances as time went on. The creepy part? His very last music video called Self-Care. I mean, that title itself is sad since the song is about spiraling down into drug addiction. He's featured lying in a casket. A true prediction of the rapper's ensuing death from a mix of fentanyl, cocaine, and alcohol. Wow. Well, there you have it. Musicians who predicted their own death. Friends, do you know of other musicians who knew how and when they were going to die? Leave us a comment below. As usual, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell as we bring you more juicy info, gossip, and speculation about the shows and stars you know and love. Until next time!